Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Streamable Horror, and today we're looking at Cabin in the Woods, which came out in 2012 and is now available on Amazon Prime. The story is a bunch of people are going to a cabin in the woods just to spend the weekend there or something like that. And then as soon as they get there, things start to go wrong because it turns into a government experiment where they are releasing monsters to kill a group of teenagers every year to satisfy a group of gods that require sacrifice by monsters in the cabin every few hundred years or something like that. And they have to do that, and the plan starts to go awry, and they eventually kind of fail, and all the monsters are released into the world, and then the ancients technically destroy the Earth by the end of the film. And the plot's actually extremely good, but it's more of a comedy than a horror film, but it definitely tries to be horror in some scenes, but it also focuses a little bit more on comedy, which I do not have as much. I'm not really used to it because I'm not really into comedy, but this film is extremely much a comedy film, more so than horror, but it definitely has some horror aspects to it. So let's get to the violence and gore. The violence and gore in this film is actually not that bad. It's pretty average for an R-rated horror film. It just seems to be a little bit of a thing going on with this review so far. Most of the violence and gore is not bad. It's normal for what you'd expect. It's average. It's not too much for anybody to handle as long as you've seen at least one horror movie in your life. It's more of a comedy, and the gore that's in there is mostly off screen. You don't really see it much on screen, but it is pretty gory, but it's average for an R-rated horror film. So there's not really much to say. It's not very gory at all. So let's go on with the intensity. This film is not scary at all. It is all basically just comedy. I don't even understand. It's such a mix though, that it's weird. It's more funny than it is scary, but it's still a horror film. And it just is so different. It's so out there. It's great, but it's just so different. It's more of a comedy, but it still has horror elements to it, but it's not exactly scary. I never once was scared during this entire film. It is more just a comedy, but it's strange. It's definitely a horror comedy, but instead of being more of an Evil Dead where it focuses more on horror, this one focuses a lot more on the comedy bits. So the intensity is extremely low, probably the lowest I've ever seen in the Streamable horror series, but it is still there, just not as noticeable, and it's not like oh my gosh, this film is gonna stay with me for the rest of my life. It is more of just a normal horror film, but not so much a just normal horror film, but more of a comedy with horror elements to it. So let's get on with the final thoughts. This film is this is a really good movie. I would recommend it to basically anyone. This is more accessible than most horror films are due to it being more of a comedy, but it's also definitely more of a comedy than horror, so horror fans might be disappointed. This is film I will recommend to anybody because it makes fun of the genre, but unlike Scream where it had more of that horror focus to it, this one is definitely a comedy, although it is basically doing the same thing Scream did, except I'd say the comedy in this one's a lot better than it was in Scream, but Scream is just more of a better film overall. So, but I do recommend this film, and anybody could watch this and would like it. Just remember, it is gonna be a little bit more than a normal comedy, because it does have horror elements. And I will see you guys next week.
Like and subscribe for more amazing content.